Yeah, I mean, a great basketball game today at the Breslin Center. A lot of credit to Iowa. We knew coming in they were going to be a really good team, a really tough matchup, and the game literally came down to the last possession. So I was proud of our team. I thought, really, we didn't have much momentum at all throughout the middle of the game, but we stuck with it. We kept doing what we do. Then we eventually got that breakthrough in the fourth quarter, and a lot of credit to Nyla Hampton. I thought she really got us going. Our defense was stout. We knew coming in rebounding was going to be a big deal, getting our guards more involved, and we finished with a stop. And I thought Julia's defense on that last play was really, really good. So proud of our team. There's a lot of ways to win, and we keep finding different ways. And tonight I thought we really did it on the defensive end.
Coach in the back, I know you just talked about defense, but, with 9 minutes to go, you guys were down 9. I don't know if you had to say anything to your team, but what really led to this comeback when you guys could have just let it go? They didn't back down and came back and got this win.
Well, we've been in that spot a few times this season, so it's a spot we're familiar with. I think it's a spot our team still has a belief and confidence that we can. There's plenty of time. And we did it. We got a few steals. We got a few and ones, which I thought got us a lot of momentum. And, there was a middle part of the game where they were hitting a lot of threes, and then they started to miss a few, and we were able to get that first rebound. And when we were able to rebound and push in transition, we were able to create some good looks. So it was kind of a multitude of things. I also thought Ines Sotelo, our freshman, in that second half really did some good things in our press and got some momentum back on our side.
Robyn, how'd you go from 12 turnovers in the first half to 2 in the second?
Oh, goodness. I told them at halftime, we weren't moving the ball. We were just, it's we work on things all the time, and then all of a sudden the game lights come on, and, you've got to be able to translate when the game light, I always say when the popcorn's popping and the game lights are on, you have to be able to do the same thing. So we really harped at halftime about ball movement. We were freezing the ball and standing a lot. I just thought we did a much better job of moving the ball.
And what does it say that you could win missing 10 free throws and having a lane violation?
Oh, my goodness. I told them, we don't have to make it this hard. We left 11 points, and we do a good job getting the free throw line. That's something we've been able to consistently do this year. So, we made it interesting, but credit to our team when it was the game on the line. We played some really good defense. But, yeah, hopefully we don't have to make it quite as interesting.
Coach, you talked earlier this week about back here. Sorry. You talked earlier this week about you thought this would be the most physical game you've played yet this year. That certainly seemed to live up to the eye test. How did you think your team handled Iowa's physicality?
I thought it took us a while. They had 14 offensive rebounds. We just knew rebounding was such a big part of this game. I thought the first half, too, would be we would tip it and they would get the ball back. We had to do a better job of just win the ball, right? Win the loose ball. We wouldn't even be a jump ball. They would win it. And I thought the second half we were much tougher, in crowds with loose balls, rebounding. We made a big emphasis this week about our guards getting more involved in defensive rebounding because we know, Stolke's a load. She's a really good player. She's really good at getting her own misses. So I thought that in the second half was much better. And when we rebound, our offense is way better. So those two, that connection, that helped us.
Can you see it when the opponent starts to be bothered a little bit by the pressure? And it seemed like you guys even picked it up a little late third, early fourth, and they didn't seem to have. Obviously you won across some turnovers, but I'm just saying they didn't seem as bothered by it until late, and then it was like nothing was working for them for a while.
Yeah, and I think we've seen that a few times. It's one of those you got to stick with it. We also switch it up. We give different looks out of it. We do switch up when we're going to trap or when we're not going to trap so there's just a piece of trying to always keep teams off balance. I think it's hard to just to every possession have to handle the ball, right? And they did a good job throughout most of the game, but we stayed with it. I thought we did a good job of out of our press still guarding in the half court and sustaining and being able to get some stops.
Talk about that sequence from Nyla that really, it just, she seemed to be at ease and in control, and that sort of seemed to open the door a little bit.
She changed the game. I mean, a few of them were off her own. She defensive rebounded. A few we pushed, right? And she was in the middle of the paint, and she's really good at attacking with both hands. And I thought she kind of had a good feel for people staying home, not helping, and when to attack and when to. It changed the game for us.
When you get a game like that, I mean, it's obviously there's 2.5 months to go in the season, right? It's the first Big Ten game.
Yep.
But you get an opponent with sort of the cachet of Iowa.
Yep.
You get a crowd like that, and it's a chance to kind of show what it's more than a record start. I'm wondering what that, I could see, pumping your fist to the crowd, everything, just sort of what that win in that setting means to you.
I mean, it's our first Big Ten game, right? Iowa has been in back-to-back national championship games. Our game there last year literally came down to the last possession, like this game. It's a signature win, and the way we see things though is like we're just going to worry about our next game. I mean, we really can see it one at a time. I get asked a lot, like, "Oh, do you think you'd be 10-0?" I'm like, "We're just trying to go 1-0." Right, and we know the team in front of us. We knew Iowa was a big challenge, but to be able to come out on the winning side, not just play a good game. I thought last year when we played top teams, we played them really tight, but we had that next step to finish the game and to win the game. And I thought tonight our team, our program, took another step in finishing the game.
Coach in the back. Woodard came in early for you guys when you guys got into a little bit of foul trouble. Talk about just her progression over this season and the trust that you have in her to put her out there and know she's going to do the job.
She went in and got an and one, and I think she got another rebound. So she's a tough kid. She has a nose for the ball. The opportunities that we've given her, she's earned trust, and we know we can put her in the game. And she's really done a great job of going in the game and immediately having a positive impact.
Coach, we saw it in California that your fourth quarters really helped you guys propel and win those games. And then DePaul, another great fourth quarter. And this one, it was the late third and the fourth quarter where you guys just seemed in a league of your own. How do you think your team, I guess, gets to that point where it's just late in the game, you're going to have your best basketball?
It's part of the way we play. There's just this persistence. I remember coming into one of our timeouts in the fourth quarter, it's like, this is what we do, right? Like, this is why we do what we do. We don't slow down now, right? We crank up our pressure. Like, we stay with it. And our team, there's a belief in it because we've consistently seen in fourth quarters we've been able to have some breakthroughs. But you've got to be persistent with it, and you can't think it's an immediate, right? So often kids think, well, if it doesn't work right away, it doesn't work. No, it works. Right, but you have to do it over and over and over and over again. And our team did a great job staying with it.
You mentioned Nyla a little bit earlier, but can you describe, I guess, maybe you've seen her do anything like this during your time at Bowling Green, and just what does it do for her confidence, having a moment like this on a big stage?
I mean, I'm lucky. I've known Nyla forever. I recruited her out of high school. I've seen her since she was a junior in high school. One of my favorite things about Nyla, she's very poised. She knows what we want, so she does a good job of being able to get us into things we need to get into. And she's a really good basketball player. So she has a feel for when to attack, when to pass, when to score, what we need. And we're talking about the offensive end. She was a 2-time MAC Defensive Player of the Year and been top 10 in the country in steals as well. So in our press, too, she has an ability to really help us both sides.
Coach, you guys did a really nice job in the third quarter kind of keeping the game between a 5 to 9 point deficit. What do you think you would credit most towards being able to stay in the game when they were starting to hit threes and get going offensively? Would you say it was, I know you mentioned the crowd, the energy getting going, Nyla had a great game, the depth. What do you think was the biggest factor?
I felt like every time we kind of would punch back, they'd hit a three. Especially in the middle of that game, they'd make a big play, they'd make a big shot. We got to the free throw line. I thought when there was that segment of the game where things were hard, or they push it to 8-9, we were getting to the free throw line and making our free throws. And so I thought that crept us back in the game. It allowed us to get into our press, and it kept us in it.
Robyn, Olsen did hit the 3 threes, but she was 4 for 17, and she had 7 turnovers.
Yeah.
How important was that?
Really important. I mean, she's, I think, one of the best mid-range players in the country. And the one she made was a really tough one right before half, right, when we So I give credit to our team. We worked on it all week. I think our scout team did an unbelievable job getting us ready for that, giving us a good look. And I thought the 3 threes she made, those were tough. You're hoping those. She's a good player, but I did think we were able to take away what she's most comfortable with, which is her pull-up.
I'm just curious, the last defensive stand that you had with
Yep.
Julia, she blocked a shot with Affolter driving and then guarding Lucy there at the end, different types of players she's had to guard in her career.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just curious, before they went on the court, what was said, what were some of the, don't want you to give away scouting information or
Yeah.
anything, but take me through that whole scenario.
Well, one of the late sidelines, we thought they were going to go down screen and get Lucy to her right hand, and we actually did a great job denying it. So they had to counter, and they ended up throwing it to number 3. And then Julie did a great job guarding, and I'm so proud of her because that's come a long way. Her ability to guard different matchups and do it without fouling and keep people in front has at the end of a game on 3, she got switched on to Lucy on the blob and made her take a really tough shot. So I give her credit for that. That's very improved even from a year ago.
How hard is it is to keep the team's composure in the right spot, especially in such a crunch time like that,
Yeah.
especially when you could tell some players were getting kind of frustrated with some of the calls?
It's the way the game goes, right? I think, to be effective, you have to be able to get to a next play. Anytime you let multiple plays slip away, right? We see in a game like this, it came down to 2 points. The margin changes. So we talk all the time about do the next right thing right? And there's tough calls both ways throughout the whole game. So, what's our ability to keep playing? And there's stretches where there's definitely frustration, but I thought we did a good job sustaining.
Can you share with us the reaction of your players on the court after the game and in the locker room, if you don't mind? What was
He was a water fest. They didn't get me too much this time, though. They got Coach Dino probably the best, but they are fired up. They were chanting for each other. This team loves each other. This team doesn't care how it happens. They just want to win, and they just want to find ways to do it together. And when you get a group that doesn't have a personal agenda but has a team agenda, good things happen. And I think this group, it's like different people. It's been different nights and different situations. We've counted on different lineups in really critical times. And this group, all they care about is how do we do this together. And we got to keep that because that's a really sweet spot to be.
Coach, wins are important, ranked wins are important, but Big Ten wins just seem the most important in college basketball. So does it mean a little bit more for you guys that it's in conference, or is it just another game on your schedule, as you mentioned, just going one game at a time?
Well, we have a one game at a time mentality, preparation, but conference is totally different. Conference is it's a really, really important part of your schedule. And arguably, I believe we have the best conference in the country. And it is a war, night in and night out. And so to start 1-0, proud of that. We know there's a lot more ahead, but conference play is different.
Anything else, Coach? All right, Julia and Nyla are available in the back.
Go green.